Eala Test Center Court, Philippine Open Qualifiers on. Manila, Philippines. Except for workers putting the finishing touches on the venue, only a handful came close to Alex Eala during her short practice session at the Rizal Memorial Sports Complex Tennis Center yesterday. The Filipina sensation geared up for the Philippine Women's Open, a WTA 125 event, and her first tournament on local soil since 2018, by trading shots with fellow wildcard and SEA Games teammate Tenny Maidis at Center Court. Eala visited the gym of the historic complex that underwent beautification, spearheaded by the Philippine Sports Commission led by Patrick Gregorio. Gregorio said Eala liked what she saw. The tournament gets underway today with the qualifying rounds before the highly anticipated main draw featuring WTA players worth watching on Monday. 16 players are listed in the qualifying, and will slug it out for the remaining slots in the 32-player main draw featuring the 20-year-old Eala, one of the top-ranked players worldwide at WTA number 49. The Philippines was granted 3 of 4 wildcard slots as host of the first-ever WTA 125 tourney. Kay in honor of Santo Tomas joins Eala and Maidis, the country's number 2 female player, in the main draw, where the big guns are waiting, led by 2022 Wimbledon semifinalist and world number 42 Tatjana Maria of Germany. Maria, a WTA champion at 38, is the top seed, followed by number 46 Wang Xinyu of China. The sun dipped low in Manila, casting bronze light across the historic clay and hard courts of the Rizal Memorial Tennis Center. For decades, this venerable sporting ground had been a quiet witness to tennis training, local competitions, and memories of national champions past. But on this January afternoon in 2026, there was something new in the air, an electricity that hinted at possibility. The court felt alive. At the heart of that energy was Alexandra Alex Eala, the 20-year-old Filipina tennis prodigy who had captivated her homeland and the wider tennis world with her dramatic rise up the WTA rankings. She had returned to Philippine soil after competing in the Australian Open, bringing with her the hopes of many and a confidence tempered by global experience. The practice that turned heads, on a central court that had just been polished, spruced, and refurbished for the historic Philippine Women's Open, soon to be the first WTA 125 tournament staged in the country. Eala took to the surface. Workers laying the final touches stepped around cones and cloth-covered benches. Only a handful of witnesses stood close enough to see the fierce focus in her eyes as she traded balls with fellow Filipina player Tenny Maidis, a longtime teammate and friend. There was no crowd, no broadcast cameras rolling, just the rhythmic thud of tennis balls, the rasp of rubber-tipped shoes on court, and the quiet hum of determination. It was a practice, yes, but one that felt like an audition for something larger than routine. This would be Eala's first professional tournament on home soil since she was a child prodigy, and the symbolic weight of the moment was not lost on her or the thousands of Filipino fans already clamoring for tickets. Her father, coach, and support team stood by. Officials from the Philippine Sports Commission looked on with satisfaction as the freshly minted center court, built where courts 1, 2, and 3 once stood, seemed to embrace every step she took. Soon it would house up to 2,000 spectators eager to witness sporting history in the making. Qualifiers on, stories beyond the star. While all eyes might naturally drift toward Eala, the highest-ranked Filipino player ever and seeded directly into the main draw, the scene around her was far from one-dimensional. 16 players entered the qualifying draw on the opening day of competition, each with their own story, their own dreams of breaking into the coveted 32-spot main field. Among them were names familiar on the local tennis circuit and others building their resumes internationally. Steffi Aludo, Angelica Alcala, and the ever-industrious Lorraine Jallarina lined up eager to seize their opportunity, knowing that a deep run in the qualifiers could smash expectations and open doors. The qualifiers are where hope amplifies, where ranking points matter as much as belief. A qualifier's path is seldom easy. Early mornings under tropical sun, the pressure of clutch games that determine careers, and the constant battle against nerves. Yet in this race, there's beauty. The moment a match turns, the ball that sails just past an opponent's reach, the fleeting but profound sense of belonging to the world's elite. In Manila this week, those qualifiers were not merely fillers, they were protagonists in their own right. A nation's collective breath. Ticket demand soared, not by a trickle, but by a roar. The Philippine Sports Commission Chairman Patrick Gregorio could hardly hide his smile, scrolling through list after list of requests for seats and stands. From teenagers to grandparents, supporters across generations wanted to witness this confluence of athleticism and national pride. For a country that had often been more passionate about basketball and boxing, tennis was enjoying a renaissance. It wasn't just the spectacle of world-class competition. It was the meaning, seeing one of their own, a daughter of the Philippines, stand tall at the center of it, on a stage once reserved for global names. To many, Eala represented not just elite sport, but also the power of aspiration. And she had earned that spotlight. More than practice, a personal journey. Eala's journey up the rankings has been marked by defining moments. She had shone on global stages, from stunning victories over top-ranked players to groundbreaking Grand Slam runs. She had competed at Wimbledon's center court. She had battled through qualifiers and main draws alike. And wherever she played, in Melbourne, Miami, or Europe, she carried her nation's hopes with her. But there was something particularly poetic about this retain. Her first major professional event in Manila. The rhythm of crossing returns, the spin on her forehand, the tactical pauses and long rallies, all spoke of a player who had matured, who understood the court not just as a platform for wins but as a canvas for expression. Her practice sessions weren't merely training. They were stories written in sweat, grit, and precision. The center court might lack the towering stands of Wimbledon or the packed draws of the Miami Open, but here it held something arguably greater, belonging. It was not just her court. It was home. The crowd, the energy, the anticipation. Even before the opening serve and the qualifiers, the atmosphere had already been charged with anticipation. Families lined up under the sun, carrying homemade signs and wearing the red, blue, and white of the Philippine flag. Children waved tiny tennis rackets, miniature replicas of the ones wielded by their heroes. Vendors walking through the concourse sold local snacks, refreshing drinks, and souvenirs. Somewhere, a radio announcer called the play-by-play of a warm-up match between two hard-working qualifiers, each rally drawing cheers from their small but devoted fans.